live stream rehearsal 2. Connecting. Let's just check I am still streaming and everything. Yeah, I'm still streaming from OBS. I presume it's still on Facebook. So I'm going to add stream if you. All right, let's just watch this video Johnny's just sent me. How to fix.
I noticed a couple of times when I tried to now, however, YouTube on the event to do the live stream. So Doug was click. So when one of my biggest mistakes was clicking on the event to do the live stream. So don't click on any of this stuff. Don't click on it, because what happened to me is when I clicked on that event, it didn't correlate with the chat and it didn't sync up. So all you have to do is don't touch all 4 of these. Just leave them as they are. And you're probably thinking, why would you say that? Well, there's actually a solution to this, and and this will work with everything. After you will hopefully thank me, and that'd be really nice. Comment below, thanks. So when you go to your events, right? So I'll do this as an example. You can type this in if you want to anyway. So let's just go to my channel page for Quake 4, for instance. So you will basically copy this, and this is already done anyway, so I'll show you anyway. Go to your titles and then update on all that. Make sure it says yeah, this is what I hate. So there you go. Just make sure it's Quake 4. There you go. Quake 4. Done. Update.
Okay, well, I've created a new event. It says online, but I'm not seeing anything in the live dashboard. Maybe I'm just a bit confused about what. So if I go to the channel now. Oh, okay. So it just, maybe I'm just a bit confused. Oh, right. Well, that works. Okay. So if I go to the channel now. Right, so I seem to be streaming. So it just, okay. Oh, right. Well, that works. Okay. Let's see if I type that into there. The channel now. Right, so I seem to be streaming. So it just, okay. Oh my God, I think it's working. Well, that works. Okay. It's working. Let's see if I type that into. You have to do it via events and not via a link or anything specific like that. It just, okay. Oh my God, I think it's working. Well, that works. Okay. It's working. Let's see if I type. Okay. I think we're on. Are we on? How exciting. Yeah, so you just have to do it via events. So now I can actually do this finally. Hooray! Okay, so forget about YouTube live streaming windows, all that bollocks. It just does it automatically straight into an event, a separate thing. So you don't need to set up a separate video or anything. So it looks like it's all fine. Johnny, are you still here? YouTube people, anyone on YouTube, just go to the YouTube page, you know, the page, the home page, and hopefully you'll be able to see the video there. Woo, yeah, I see ticks from YouTube and everything. Yeah, okay, awesome. And we'll have Twitter as well. I'll just turn Twitter on for the actual one, and if Twitter doesn't work on chat, then it's just gonna have to fuck off, because I can't test this out right now. But hopefully we'll get a stream on there as well, so we'll get three streams and definitely have 2 of the chats working. Awesome, all good. All right, well, shit, I better start then. Welcome to the Stay Inspired webinar from Producer Tech, which is our first public webinar. And it's something I normally do for Produce Tech members exclusively once a month in a slightly lengthier session of about 3 hours or so, basically as long as I can go. And in those, I'm a lot more engaged and interactive, and get really stuck into the chat and really respond to questions. In this session, I'm probably not going to be able to do that so much because there may be more of you, and also I've got a lot to go through. So my colleague Johnny is on chat, who will be attempting to respond to your comments as much as possible. And also, Johnny, we didn't set up the Google Hangout, did we? But if I set that up here, then we'll have our, or even just Skype, to be honest. But if I'll have that Google Hangout on there as well, Johnny, so we can, so I can sort of look over at that occasionally and check this shit out. Anyway, we should be looking at this, by the way. Yes, much better. So, where was I? So yeah, we've got a lot to go through. If you want to, of course, hit us up in the chat box here. And I will try and sort of pay some attention to it as I can as we go in. And so, yeah, a lot to go through. For the most part, I'm just going to be focused on showing you guys some cool stuff in Ableton, and also working a lot with Loop Cloud to create some music, specifically a remix on the fly. So basically, most of this session is going to be me doing that. The start is going to be me showing you a project that I've made, which for this remix comp, which I'm also announcing in this webinar, which is exclusive for Produce Tech members, where you can win 3 awesome plugins for yourself: Stutter Edit 2, Scalar 2, and also Boost, which isn't even out yet. It's a limiter plugin. If you enter the competition, you will get Boost for 2 months anyway, because that's just part of the deal. Straight after this webinar, you can go to the members area, where there'll be an extra tab for the remix comp where you can see all the details and can download all the stems and also the project if you want to have that as well. And entries will be sent to me, rob@producetech.com, and the winner, it's going to be 3 tracks, top 3 tracks are all going to win those plugins, and there'll be a SoundCloud playlist with all of the entries, so you can listen through all of them and get a bit of exposure through the Produce Tech socials as well. So yeah, should be a cool comp. If you're not a Produce Tech member yet, then check the link in the description for the Stay Inspired landing page, where there will be where you can find out more details about how to sign up right now. So first thing I want to show is this Ableton project which I put together as part of this remix comp. So here is the project. We'll keep an eye on the chat, by the way, see what you're all saying. Sound is perfect. Things are a little jerky. You're a little jerky. Not really. Yeah, like I said, I really can't do anything about the connection. It is plugged straight into the router. I mean, I could reboot the router before. That's probably the only other thing I could do to improve it. But anyway, so here's the Ableton Live project. Let's just have a listen through. Basically, it uses one of the vocals in the free vocals pack that comes with the Stay Inspired campaign. If you haven't got hold of this yet, go to the link. And yeah, this pack contains hundreds of vocals. This is just one of them. And all I've done is I've based this arrangement around the vocals. So I put together the drums and some different melodic parts based around the vocal. Yeah, let's have a listen. that's the arrangement. It's pretty simple. I haven't done much to the mixing or the arrangement. It's all just kind of blocky at the moment, but it was all just done quite simply with free samples from Loop Cloud. I think I actually stuck to exclusively free ones specifically. The melodic sounds are a mixture of things, another free sample for the bass, and just sequenced with simpler and a couple of layers in this rack here. The strings sound I've made with Scalar 2. This is one of the plugins that you can win in the remix comp, so it's a fantastic one. I've got a course I've made on it as well. It's a really good one for creating chord progressions. If we just actually, there we go. Those are the 3 chords used in my particular arrangement. Basically, the harmony, the whole song is in G minor. And then it goes to F major for the, so here's the sort of 4-bar section. It's in several 4-bar sections, repeating harmonies. So it goes G minor, F major, and then holds E flat major for the last part. So even though it's in a minor key of G, the harmony's quite major for this latter part with F and then E flat. But this makes it really easy with Scalar. I'm not going to go into too much detail. Like I say, you can check out my course for more information about that, but it makes it very easy because you can use your computer keyboard, like I just did there, just to play these kind of chord progressions that I've created just by dragging and dropping chords that it suggests into the builder here. Yeah, anyway, the project that I'm actually going to give you won't have these instruments in. I'm bouncing all of these MIDI parts down into audio so that anyone can work with this. And if you don't work with Ableton Live, then all of the stems are going to be separate as well. Yeah, I always have the habit of talking to my own face over there rather than the camera. I should just definitely talk to the camera, shouldn't I? Otherwise you get me kind of looking shiftily to the side. I do look shiftily to the side most of the time, though, in real life, so I'm just trying to simulate that, really. Shifty bastard. Yeah, someone ask a question, damn it, or you know, or just lavish me with praise. That's also fine. So yeah, so the second lead is just one with Serum. Like I say, this is all going to be bounced, and I'll show you the stems shortly in a bit more detail when I kind of work through making a remix. And then there's this second lead, which is a little bit more complex. I really like the sound of that. It's a little bit more detuned, a little bit more dissonant. It's got that repeating motif going over the top, which is in G minor. So even though the chords are moving to different harmonies, it keeps those G minor notes going over the top. So just something to be aware of if you use that stem in your remix. It's a bit of an edgier sound. And I'll show you an example of that when we create the remix in a moment. Yeah, and then lastly, this lead is actually a sample. So that's all of the stems. Now, yeah, the aim of the remix comp is to... Oh, I didn't show the vocal. Let's just show you the vocal quickly. Today, I'm okay. Now, I haven't actually got the right plugins activated there. I made a little rack here using 2 of the free plugins from the Stay Inspired campaign. So both of these, along with iHeart and Y, which is used on one of the other tracks, come free with the campaign. So yeah, you can just go to the Stay Inspired landing page, grab these plugins. The first one here, this is Smasher. This is a really heavy compressor, or a compressor that's able to cope with being slammed. Silly question to test this. Who sung the vocal? I have no idea. Good voice though, lovely voice. I can tell you where the label it came from, which is Dabro Music, and Dabro Music is a really nice label. It's one of the sort of 2 labels I use quite a lot when I'm looking for kind of ruder sound. Dabra Music and Singo Makers are pretty good go-tos. Yeah, so you can hear if I turn this rack on and off, just how much the vocal kind of changes. Today, 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 today. So Smasher is like flattening it, so it's getting the dynamics fully under control, making sure those dips as it goes up and down are managed, and it stays nice and loud the whole time. And then Vocal Splitter is doing all sorts of crazy shit. Vibrato, a bit of pitch warbling, and also a lot of stereo information as it creates phase differences in the left and right. Again, I've done a little movie which kind of goes into that in a bit more detail, which will be on the Luke Masters YouTube, I guess. It's quite a simple plugin as well. Slightly more to it than the other ones, though, as you've got sort of filtering in here, distortion, and then 2 controls for adjusting the amount of the vibrato, the kind of detuning and pitch warbling effect. Yeah, so when you add that on top of the compression, you can hear it just really spreads it wide. And I actually had a video where I showed how to sort of visualize this, which I did using Ozone 8 Imager. You can see, so this is it completely mono. That's what the vocal looks like right in the middle there. Now if I turn on my plugins, you can actually see just how much it's just spread completely wide there. And now I actually made it mono, so it doesn't come mono with the dry stem. But if you want to have full control over this kind of width yourself, then that's one way to go. Make it mono initially yourself, and then apply whatever amount of stereo width you want afterwards. Obviously, all samples come with stereo width already, and if you slap on loads more, sometimes that the sides can get a little bit messy in your mix. So that's some of the plugins you get with the campaign. The other one, incidentally, is iHeartNY, which is a parallel compressor. This one. Really simple again. Allows you to apply parallel compression just with the single device as an insert on this specific track. So here's my drums track. I'm using it quite lightly there, but essentially what it does is it just adds that kind of beefed up, compressed sound, that fatness you're looking for, via this parallel chain, which you increase the amount of here. You can actually solo it as well. Or maybe that didn't work. Maybe I won't show that one. Anyway, yeah, increase the amount of parallel compression with the slider there. And then Spank sets how heavily it's compressed, and then output is the blend of both of those signals, compressed and uncompressed, after you've added this parallel chain. So that's a really nice plugin as well for adding that fatness and that bit of top end, that bit of brightness and presence to sounds as well. So the aim of the competition is just to use as much or as little of the parts as you want, really. You can... Any questions so far? Veronica, thank you for joining us. That slider looks very exciting. I've got many exciting sliders in this project. There we go, check out all of those. They're not quite so exciting, actually, are they? Anyway. So yeah, so you know, you could just use one of the stems if you wanted to. You could just use the vocal, and that's all. If you've never made a remix before, that's just basically how it works. You generally want to use enough of the parts for it to be, you know, connected to the song, to be your own interpretation of it, but you know, not so few that it's just a completely different track. So without further ado, let's get on and actually make a remix. So I'm just going to start a new project here, and we're going to do this in Ableton again, but you know, you can do it with whatever DAW you're using, and I'm going to do it mostly in Loop Cloud, so you don't yeah, it doesn't really matter what DAW you're using to replicate these techniques that I'm about to show you. So we've got Loop Cloud now as a plugin on the track, and it's amazing how many people manage to miss this who use Loop Cloud. I know a lot of people that use the Loop Cloud app without actually having the plugin, and they're a bit confused as to how when they see videos on it, it manages to sync up. So it's all done via this plugin. This plugin, essentially, that's all you need to do is load it on a track and then forget about it. Now when I set my tempo of my project to 140 BPM, when I go to Loop Cloud is now going to sync to that tempo. So if let's just start getting some sounds. We're going to make like a sort of trappy kind of break. So I'm typing in kick to the search field here, one shots. Let's see what happens if I see my setup's all over the place now because of that. I'm going to put that there like that, so I can do that. Good. So let's get a kick in there. It's pretty heavy. What I will do is just stick a limiter on the master chain, just in case I don't want to deafen you all. It's probably a good idea, isn't it? You know, the limiter I'm going to use is going to be boost, which is one of the ones you can win in the remix comp. And like I said, you're actually going to have access to this if you enter the competition. I'm going to include an installer for members in the members tab, and you just download that, and then it'll make you go off to a link and just type in your email to get a license, and that license lasts for 2 months, I think, to the end of August. So if you win, obviously you will get a permanent license, but this will allow you to try it out for a couple of months, see what you think of it. I really like it. I'm going to turn down the focus and max gain at the moment, though. We're just really going to we're not going to use these kind of expander characteristics. We're just going to use it to catch the peaks, make sure it doesn't overload on the channel. So yeah, let's go back to Loop Cloud. Let's get some cool sounds underway. So I'm looking for a kick that's chunky. You know what, I'm going to type trap as well. Otherwise it's going to search through every genre. Sometimes, you know, it's just, oops. Oh, that's actually a really nice one. It's a bit flabby maybe. Let's just go with that one. So now we've got a kick here. What we can do is just go to our patterns, kicks, and then go for one of these trap patterns. I think it's two I quite like. So that's quite cool. And we'll get a snare in there quickly as well. So snare, again, I'm just going to go trap. And one shot. If you just want to hear it on its own, you can just go for solo. It's best sometimes, I think, to find your snare before you sequence it into a pattern. Otherwise, you have to wait for a long time for the pattern to play while you're selecting a different sample. Let me see, that one's nice, isn't it? So let's go with that one. I'm just going to trim it down a bit, stick it on my third beat. Hang on. Unsolo it. Nice. Like I said, so if you get your pattern in place and you're like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool, but I want to try out a different snare, then if I just select it now, I'd have to wait for this whole pattern to play to hear the snare. Oh, and who likes waiting? Oh. I don't. Okay, let's just go with that one. And yeah, if you want to sort of create your own pattern in a quicker way, one thing you can do is just duplicate this whole lot. And the way I do that is just by actually clicking down in the bottom corner here and up to the top. And just make sure you let go around about this area, because it does seem to be a bit funny if you keep going beyond there, like it selects a larger amount of time. So now I know I've just looped that bar, so now we've got 2 bars. And what I'm going to do to make this a bit sexier is just duplicate this one. I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to bring down the level a bit here, and then I'm just going to, if I want to drag it so it just ends slightly before this one, I'm just going to hold shift and just bring it like that, so there's a bit of a gap. A little bit tighter. Yeah, nice and tight. So that is the kick and snare done. Chat is very quiet. How are you enjoying it so far? We just got the kick and snare in. I'm going to like make parts pretty quickly, so let's get a hat in now. Closed hi-hat, whatever. Actually, I'm going to show you how you can edit sounds in Loop Cloud. So create your own kind of tighter hat sound and then take it straight out into the DAW, because it's something you might prefer to do. I really like building up parts in Loop Cloud because, like I said, once you've got that groove going, you can change the samples up later on if you want to change the sounds. But let's see. So this hat is quite a nice soft sound, but it's quite long, for example. So what we could do is hold down shift again, just bring it down so it's a little bit shorter, and then just add a fade on there. You can go really short if you want. And make sure there's no attack on there, or if it is, it's tiny. Don't think you get any clicks with these samples. People are pretty good at not having there you go. So that's my own kind of little slice there. Now if you thought, oh yeah, I quite like that, but I don't want to sequence it in here, as I already own this sample, I can just like drag it and then go into live. Let's just go to there. Oh no, not that. So don't drag it to a different part of your arrangement. That's not what I aim to do there. So I can drag it. It's quite difficult, it's so small. But drag it up here, and then, damn you, drag it up here. Hey, there we go. And then you can see it's actually just dragged out this little slice. Now this is particularly useful if you have a, a loop, like a top loop in there. And you think, oh, I just want this sound. You can just edit it out like that, drag that out. I'm not getting the action right here at all, am I? I need to practice this. So is that going to do it? Yeah, there we go. So it just drags out a little part of a loop. It's a very quick way of doing that, taking a part of a loop that you like from your project. Anyway, so reset that one. I'm going to mute that one for a sec, and I'm just going to make a very quick hat pattern here. Unsolo that. I'm going to get my grid back to 16th so I can see what's going on here. And then just copy a few slices out. Just turn it down in my headphones. Like that. So we'll do like a... No, we'll do like a slightly faster pattern at the end. I've kind of shot myself in the foot by having such small slices to work with here. I have to zoom in a bit. I think we want... mute that one. Not as keen as... Yeah, what I could do is just, create a few more there, mute them, but then just copy this again over, and then just like activate and deactivate certain ones in different, bars to create slight variations as it loops round. But we'll leave it like that for now, and we'll just find a new tops loop. Obviously, that's a nice thing to do to sort of really fatten out your sample. Yeah, so that was nice. Now let's just make it fit a little better with our particular project. So I'm just going to take these snares down a bit. Bosh, 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 and then that one as well. So I'm just like holding down Alt to temporarily select the slice tool there, and then it just slices it on the grid when I click there. And then we can edit those slices, do all sorts of things to them. All I'm going to do, I think, is just bring down the level quite a bit. Actually, maybe mute some of them. Cool, so that's our beat done. Now let's get our bass in. Now the bass, oh, by the way, because I haven't really shown you this yet, let's just turn on the metronome here. So you can hear when I play it with the metronome now. It's playing in time with Ableton there. So if I had my project already made and I wanted to add a beat to it, then yeah, I can start creating sounds with Loop Cloud and have them all just lock up. So it's really, really awesome. So let's get our metronome off and just get some bass sounds in. For the bass, we're going to go with something fat and subby. So I'm just going to go sub, one shots. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that for a sec. And I'm going to auto tune it to G because G is our project. As I said, it's in G minor. Include that with the stems. So you already know what key it's in. You don't have to spend time working that out. Again, if you've ever done a remix, normally these are things that they tell you about, what key it's in. It's good to provide that information with your stems, just like with your samples. So everyone knows the tempo and key straight away. So let's get something in. I just want like quite simple sub hits that follow my drums. So what I'm going to do is go for bars and beats and one beat. No, that's just a single one. Let's try eighths and then and then I'll just edit them myself. So it's quite cool, but I don't want that. So I want it to be a bit slower. So what I'm going to do is just actually I'll delete these. Bosh, 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 and bosh, and then I'll select these. Let's just zoom in a bit. You guys can see what's going on. A message coming from Johnny. I'm going to have to drop out shortly for my Clive meeting. Okay, mate. Well, fair enough. So now these are all selected. I'm just increasing it like that. And if I solo it, you can hear they're just sub hits pounding on each beat like that. A few things here. So I'm going to duplicate this. So it's going for 2 bars now, and then I'm going to bring some of these out. Let's just hear it with my drums. Cool. So now we got the sub pounding away on the right beats there. I'm going to change the pitch of some of them. So we're going to have like this one up an octave actually. G is a little bit tricky for sub. Some of the sub samples are going to sound probably too low in G. So you just got to watch your octave. or they might sound too high, actually, going the other way. But normally the subs will sound best when they're sort of in a range from not much below E and really not much above G. Cool, that's sounding nice. What I'll show you as well, it's a pretty cool effect here called vinyl stop. Now, when you add it, it will add that vinyl stop to every slice, or it'll actually do it just as one. I'm going to slow it down. So you can hear it at the moment, it's just going to apply that across this whole 2 bars. If I slow it right down, it'll just go very slowly. So now it's slowing down gradually, that pitch is coming down throughout the phrase. What I just want it on this last hit, so I need to slice it there. I need to get rid of this one, and then just most important step there, just turn off the make sure it's not sort of linked, so it's doing its own separate thing there. And I'm just going to speed it up a bit now, and now you'll hear it won't do anything here, but it will apply that tape slowdown effect just to this last part. That sounds quite cool. We can try out some different samples. Quite like the first one, actually. Let's hear it with the beat. Sounds quite good. Another thing you can do in Loop Cloud if you want is you can just add a bit of side chaining sort of effect on here. You could have a bit of a fade in. What you could do is you can look at your kick and see that one lasts for this long, so I could have my bass fading in here. You might still want to add a little bit in your DAW potentially, or even having it completely fade in might just be might not sound quite so good. You might lose a bit there, but it's a way of kind of creating that sort of getting rid of that bass conflict early on. See, I think it's sounding quite good. I quite like the transient on this one, so I'm actually going to not do it with this one and worry about it in the DAW later on. Another cool thing you can do is if you want to add a sort of top layer to your bass, then what we can do is save the pattern. Just going to call it, oh yeah, must remember to clean up patterns so I can actually find this. I'm just going to call it AAA bass. So I don't have to spend ages looking through my patterns for this one. So there's that. And then when you go to the next track along, if you want to sort of try out a different bass, that's another thing you can do. You can actually mute that one, forget about it for a minute, try out a different bass here. Then you just select that track and you go pattern AAA bass, select a different sub, and now you can instantly have that pattern loaded in. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to a new search, and I'm just going to search for bass loops, because this is quite a cool thing. I'm going to auto-tune them to G and select one here, funk jazz. No, I actually want something a bit dirtier, so I'm going to go like drum and bass. Even though the tempo is going to be off, maybe it will work. Just going to solo that one. And I'm looking for something with a bit more top end. And preferably not so much movement. This is the kind of thing I might spend ages sort of searching for. But right now, what I'm going to do is do something that I think I know is going to come up with some results here. I'm going to type in neuro, and then And anyway, what I'm actually trying to do here is go for a top layer. So what I'll do is go to my filter and I'll just load the default filter. And set high pass filter there and bring down the resonance. It's very important to do that because with a high resonance you're still going to get the bass in there. Don't bring it all the way down because you'll actually lose a lot more than just the frequencies below the cutoff. So bring it up a bit. That's pretty much just adding that sort of top end now. Maybe that's the kind of sound I'm after. I'm not sure it is, but if I want to change the part of the loop to try out something different, turn off my FX edit there, go to the scrub tool, and then I can just scrub through. Let's see how it sounds. Now, I'd probably fanny around with that for quite some time to try and sort of refine the sound, but as I'm just basically showing you techniques that you might want to try for now, I'm going to leave that as it is. So that's our kind of basic groove done. So what I'm going to do now is just try and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of creating melodic sounds. How long have we been going for? 45 minutes. I think the timing is pretty much good actually so far, so that's cool. So I'm going to do this by getting a pluck one shot. I'm just going to solo it. I'm going to auto tune it to G again. Let's maybe go with that one. I feel like that one's going to fit maybe a bit better. Let's try that. Turn off this neuro layer. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not at the moment, but so let's just get the first kind of 2 beats right. That's pretty cool. Let's duplicate that out. So we could try some different notes. I quite like it. I quite like it just on the G. Keeps it kind of nice and simple. But if we wanted to create something a little bit more melodic, particularly if we were doing maybe a different style of music, then we could move through the notes in the G minor chord. So at the moment it's just playing all Gs. But if you want to do like an alternation of 1s, 3s and 5s, then we just need to pitch shift some of these notes to either the minor third or the 5th. So that would be a difference of 3 semitones and 7 semitones if we're going up and down. Or if you're going downwards, then it's 5 downwards. That's pretty cool. The 5 does sound a little bit boring though, so we could try going up to the 6th. So that's quite cool. Now let's just get these sounds into live and maybe try and create some kind of an intro. We could do all the sounds, or we could just like bring out sounds individually. So I'm going to solo this, so we just bring out this sound now. And I'm going to drag out the processed one onto my arrangement, not onto a MIDI track though, onto an audio track, and looks like those samples are gone from before. That's fine. So stick them there. Now what I'll tend to do as I've dragged out a process version, I know it's going to be at the BPM of my project. So if I'm not going to change that now, I'll just turn off warp for the maximum sort of quality of the audio. And now if I actually mute this in here and just unmute all the rest by turning solo off now, we can hear it together with the other sounds, with this one playing from the project here. So that's a sort of how an intro kind of might start to sound. And then we can choose to sort of bring in other sounds, which I should probably do from here rather than showing you my messy desktop. So let's choose the, yeah, it's this one. And then it's the, no, it's not. It's membership sign up issue vid. Don't ignore that one. Stay Inspired Remix Comp, and melodies, and then we go to like this the different leads here. So here are the stems. So let me show you how, like, this is the sort of simplest lead. Like I said, the lead 1, yeah, 3 is the sample. So lead 1 is the, let's just drag out the dry one. And obviously this is in a different tempo now, so it's going to sound a bit funny, maybe, because the original tempo of these is, of course, whatever my project was. I haven't actually, did I put that in the stems here? I haven't put it in the stems yet, but there will be the BPM there. But you can also see it generally live, so it's showing as 180, or rather 90. I would have thought, because I did it in a sort of half-time vibe. Anyway, so it's being slowed down quite a lot from 180 to 140. So yeah, as the harmony's changing, this part, if we did want to use it, is going to work. Then it's going to change there. And it goes major, don't forget. So what we actually want there, if you want to do this from Loop Cloud, what you can do is just go back to that sound, solo it again, and now let's auto-tune it to F, and let's just change this to a major. So now it's a major third, and then we can drag out that processed one. And then the last two are both E flat. So now we just change it to E flat, which is also D sharp, and then drag out that one. And now we have the harmony right. Or if you want to have it down, of course, we can hit the octave button there, so it goes down rather than up. It just goes to the closest note. So I drag out that one now. We're going down. I mean, I'm not sure you'd want to have a sort of rude dubstep track or trappy kind of track with this plinky plonky melodic intro. But again, I'm just kind of trying to show you techniques here. Just to show you sort of what I was saying earlier about the slightly more complex harmony of the other lead, which I prefer the sound of here. Just turn off that one, set this one to complex instead. Actually sounds okay. Now, because you've got these suspensions here, an alternative chord you might want to use for this section can be D minor rather than F major. Maybe should I include a little, have I got any sounds that start with a put and end with an it? Good question. Excellent question. I'm sure I have somewhere. Wait, here it is. Put it. So what I'll do probably is include a sheet or just maybe a text doc or something which just puts these harmonies down, maybe elaborates on the actual notes and the chords as well. If you guys would find that useful. Yeah, I think that's probably a good plan, isn't it? what we'll do now, though, is just mute this one temporarily. Also mute this one because I'm not so keen on that one. I do like this as an intro. I'm going to show you a few different things now. First of all, we're going to bring in all of our drum sounds and that bass. Actually, it's going to bring in all of them, but I'll show you. I turn off solo and I hold down Alt and I drag the processed one out into live. It drags out all of those sounds now. So this is literally the quickest way of getting your samples into your project. You know, it's just instant basically. And what I'm going to do is bring this down by at least 6 dB. And then when you do that, I think, yeah, see how when I drag it onto a new track, it brings it down by 6 dB as well. So it kind of follows the pattern that's on that track, which is quite a cool thing. I actually only recently noticed that in live. It's like, oh, that's a handy time saver there. So I'm dragging all these parts on now. My sub, so I don't care about those two right now. I'm just going to duplicate, a few other things. Turn off warp, select them all, turn off warp. Go to any sounds like the kick, and make sure there's no fade on the start, and then duplicate these bits out. Sorry, the pace of my webinars, by the way, with the members is slower. I'm sort of flying through this. Just because we don't have so long and I want to cover a few other cool techniques before I go. So here's my groove. I'm just going to duplicate that out a few times. Get rid of that pluck. And I'm going to group these together. I would also name them normally, but now we'll have all of these sounds. Nice. So yeah, that's all those sounds in. Let me just show you what it's like when you bring in a different stem, like for instance a vocal one. So I'm going to bring in the wet one. I do have the original samples here if you want the original vocal with that processing on, but here is the wet one from my project, which already has sort of processing applied, and I'm bringing this one in so I can show you how you get the warping right, because the timing is going to be wrong probably. Let's see. So I'm turning on warp, I'm setting it to complex, and I'm dragging this out. Yeah, so it hasn't done the right amount of bars there. So what I have to do is zoom in to this last transient here, click on that, and I have to drag this out so it's 34 bars long, because that is the original timing. Bosh. And then it should just be 100% in sync. Let's try it. Is it lined up? No. That's interesting. Pretty sure the vocal's in G. Apparently it's not. Hang on. Oh, I think my sub is in the wrong key there. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the vocal is definitely in G, so I shouldn't have to change that. We can confirm that. Just get a MIDI track there and go instruments and analog, and then play some notes. Solo it with my vocal, so I'm going to play a G. Yeah, there you go. It's definitely in G. So my sub now, and sometimes it can be hard to hear the right note with the sub, but there's quite a lot of top end on this, so I can hear it's playing the wrong note. You can hear it because it's higher up, and it seems to be playing a D sharp, as you can see down here in the analyzer. Unfortunately, that's really far away from the note that we want it to be playing, so I'm actually going to go choose a different sub note there. So we go to our sub, go back to our sub search, and stop the soloing things. Oh, Oh, see, that's because I actually have D sharp selected there. How silly of me. Okay, so with G selected there, it wasn't a sample error, it was a me error. So I'm just going to drag out that processed one now. Get my sub in there. Turn off warping. Get no fade on there, and then just copy that across again. Yeah, so as you can hear, it's pretty quick to get the vocal in place and sounding good. If you use the wet one, certainly. The dry one might take a little bit more fiddling, but it didn't take me very long. You can also do it in slices, so you could chop up the first bit because you know that this is you know how long each bit is, so it's actually easy to work with smaller bits sometimes. So yeah, harmony-wise, it can be quite nice. If you wanted to follow the original harmony, then, like I say, it would be G, and then going down to the F, or slightly more interesting, maybe D minor, and then E flat for the end. But I think it might sound a bit better in this instance to sort of just alternate. So a bit simpler, ignore the F, and then maybe go down to the E flat here. So it's the harmony follows the vocal. The vocal stays on the G, and then it comes down in this portion. So it ends on an E flat there, which is why the harmony sort of feels like it should change. If it was ending on a D, it might feel like it would stay in D, but as it's ending on the E flat, it feels like it should change there. So we could just pitch this sub down to the E flat. Probably want to warp it first. Come down 4. So now we got the harmony changing there. Yeah, cool. So I'm quite liking that, alternating the harmony, having it just going G then E flat. It works quite well. So we've got a sort of drop section worked out. Last two things I wanted to show you. First up, I wanted to show you how to make chords simply with Loop Cloud. So we're going to do that for this intro section. Supposing I don't want to use my pluck sound that I made here. Let's have that coming in here maybe. So don't feel afraid to sort of try suspending harmonies over the top of each other. Don't forget the original one did have the notes in G going over the top of sort of shifting harmony. So this might sound okay even though the harmony's moved to E flat, but let's have a listen. So yeah, it's this D down here. You could just try. Actually, is it G? What it's playing G. Oh, no, it's playing the 6th. So it's not D. It's E. No, yes, it's E. So it needs to come up. That sounds weird. Sorry, I've done the wrong one. Idiot. Yeah, it's this one. So slice that out. Might sound a bit weird, but let's try that. Could work. Cool, so yeah, that's sort of working. So yeah, like I said, two more techniques I just want to show you. The first one, we're going to create a new kind of chord sequence with a pad to go with our harmony. And I'm going to show you a quick way of doing that. So I'm selecting part of the arrangement and I'm just going to create a MIDI clip there. And I'm going to put in a C minor chord. Now, if you don't know anything about music theory, then plenty of tutorials on our website, beginner's and advanced guide to music theory. But C major chord here has the notes C, E, and G. The 1, 3, and 5 white notes going up from C. So count up 2, 3, 4, 5. And the difference between a major and a minor chord is just the minor third, so it just comes down a semitone. So there's our minor chord, C minor chord. Now, if we want to get a G minor chord, we just go to Loop Cloud, select a free track here, which is soloed. And then I'm just going to choose a sound. Rather than search through a load, I'm just going to go with a one I did tag up for the live stream, this one. So you can hear if I play it right now, it's playing the C, because that's what it is. If I auto-tune it to the G, it comes down by 5 semitones. There's G. So if I trigger it now, it works like a sampler. So if I play a C on this MIDI clip, then C3 is the root note, like with all samplers. So this chord is going to not play C, E flat, and G. It's going to actually trigger G, B flat, and D. But you don't need to worry about that. Just know that you just need to get a C minor chord there. So that's our first harmony. And then all you have to do, like I said, the harmony goes G minor, and then down to the F, which is 2 semitones below, and down to E flat, 2 semitones below that again. So all I have to do for the next chord is bring it down 2 semitones, and then make one other change it to a major chord. So bring up that major third, and then for the next one, same thing again, come down by 2, but it's already a major chord because I just changed it, and then we'll have the right notes there. So that's our harmony. That sounds all right. Like I said, this lead is a little bit more dissonant. So sometimes I've found slightly better results going with a D. Let's just copy this over here and see how we'd get a D minor chord in there. So I'm going to copy the G to try this out. And I'm going to remember that this is a G, not a C. So if we want to come down to the D, we have to come down by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's a D minor. D minor sounds a bit weird in this context, but maybe if I change the inversion to bring up a note so it's slightly better aligned now, here from here to here. Bit smoother. Could actually change that. Let's try that. Maybe keep the inversion as it straight up root chord. Yeah, so that's a slightly more interesting harmony. Let's try that one with the other lead. So yeah, that's sounded quite nice. It needs a lot of EQing, it's a bit full on. But just to show you now how you could then, obviously in Loop Cloud, you could try out a bunch of different samples. You could come to a new search and go synth, auto-tune it to G. Yeah, and then just one shots, and then just find some that look a bit longer and not so crazy. Like that one, for instance, and then just try that out. Horribly shrill, but we'll go back to this one again. Let's just try a different one. There we go. Okay, so let's say we're going with that sample. All you have to do now is have a MIDI track here, drag out the original of that sample. No, I'm lying. Undo that. Drag out the processed of that sample, which is transposed down to G. Don't forget. Drag that down onto your track. Start that again. drag that down onto the device chain of your MIDI track. And now we've got a sample in G loaded into this sampler. So now all we need to do is drag our MIDI parts down, and then it has it playing our sequence, which I think that's a pretty cool way of working. It involves a little less. Some people find the whole root note of a sampler a little bit confusing. So that's just sort of one way of doing it. Let Loop Cloud do the hard work in terms of the tuning, and you just know that all you have to do is play notes in C, whatever your chord is. So C minor, for instance, if you want to be in G minor. The only time it might get confusing is if you want to mess around with these MIDI notes later on. You might start to be a bit confused about what chords you're actually playing there, because this C minor chord is actually playing a G minor chord. So anyway, that's one way of doing it, and I quite like that way. I quite like teaching that way to people as well, as an alternative way of doing things. So yeah, we got the intro chords there. Last technique is going to be really simple, and it's first of all, I'm just going to save. We haven't got any free tracks now, so I'm going to save this session as AAA run through. So that saves all of my settings in Loop Cloud there, saves all of my parts, all of the samples I've got loaded in, which means I can then come down here, clear all tracks, and they're all just gone. And now I can start again. Only I didn't actually want to do that, did I? Never mind. Let's load it back up to show you how that works. So we go edit, load session, AAA run through, bosh, they're back again. And then I just pick the sample that I want to do this with. So I'm going to go for like maybe the pluck, and I'll just reset it. So we've got the original sample again. And what I'm going to show you is how you create a really quick FX sweep, which I think is a very cool thing to do. And you can do this with all your parts really quickly. And you can also create the pattern yourself, which I've already done as well, to save yourself even having to do what I'm showing you right now. So you take this sound here, you go FX edit, and you go reverb, and then long cave, and solo Loop Cloud. And there's our pluck sound with a very long reverb trail. And that's all we want, basically. And you can do this whatever sound you like, percussion, any of the sounds in your track. And all you have to do is drag out the processed, and you've instantly got that one. See if I stop dragging it onto MIDI tracks. You've instantly got that that sound that's in your project. So it might be a good one to have potentially leading into this section, but we're going to use it over here instead. Go away, MIDI track. I'm just going to get rid of you. There you go, down here. I'm going to unwarp it, and I'm going to reverse it. And then we're just going to zoom in here, and we're just going to move this, turn off grid for a minute so I can move it freely and have it maybe like that. Turn grid back on, and then do that. And it should now create a nice kind of FX sound for us to work with. Last thing I might do actually is just have the harmony simplify for this bit. So I'm just going to consolidate this part. I could work with the... What should I do? Should I work with the audio? Yeah, I'll work with the audio. Okay, so it's warped. So I'm actually just going to stretch this out. The reason I hesitate there is because it's going to take me a little while to drag this out. That's a bit faster today. I'm going to drag this out to the full bar. There it is. So now I've time stretched this this part, which is just a beat, to a full bar. So now it's not bothering changing harmony, it's just simplifying it. And let's just get a bit of a fade on there, crossfade. Yeah, so it allows you to kind of simplify things before you go into the drop. And we could also try another pitch drop here. In live, we could do this with the envelopes here. Turn on envelopes, go clip transposition, and then we just want it on this last beat. sorry, set it to complex. Maybe complex pro. And very quickly, just so you can hear that, I'm going to do a really quick automation of this part here. Just get this sort of low frequencies just rolling off. Yeah, cool. So again, I'm just really flying through these sorts of techniques. But I just wanted to show you how Loop Cloud can be a massive time saver when it comes to creating these sorts of sounds, because all of your samples from this break or any of the other ones you dragged in are in Loop Cloud. And if you just reset their pattern once you've saved it, and then call up your FX pattern, which I've got in here somewhere. Maybe I've cleared it out. Yeah, anyway, if you call up your sort of quick, whatever you want to call it, FX Builder, something like that, pattern, then it will just, you'll be able to instantly create these FX sweeps out of the parts in your project, which is a nicer way of keeping things flowing rather than sort of going out and searching for something else. So I think that is where I'm going to leave it today. 15, I think, by my reckoning. I'm not seeing any comments, not seeing anything now. Everyone's fallen asleep or died. Any final questions from any of you who've fallen asleep or died? Anyone still there? Let's see, restream. I'm just going to hang on for a minute just to see if I get some abuse. Well, I think everything worked anyway. Simon's still alive, yeah! I'm very happy to hear that, man. And thanks for staying till the end. You may be the only one. Hopefully there'll be a few more on Sunday. I hope you learned something. Were you actually watching and paying attention? Maybe how to make a trap remix isn't your idea of a good time. But no, thanks for watching, man. Yeah, these webinars are made all the better by having people there. It's already quite a bloody bizarre scenario. Me here sort of in this strangely techie and isolated corner of a room, with about 50 monitors in front of me and cameras on me, and it's surreal. It's surreal, and about half of it. Cool, man. Well, thanks. And I'm going to go now. Finish the rest of my tea. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks anyone else if you're there and not on the chat. And yeah, feel free to actually watch the live one on Sunday if you want. Don't know why you'd want to watch that whole thing again on Sunday. But anyway, I hope you're all well. And yeah, thanks for helping out. I'm glad we got there after that nightmarish start, and really glad that we actually did this and didn't just try and go for it on Sunday, because it would have been disastrous. And no one would have been able to actually chat on YouTube, which would have been, yeah, completely disastrous. Anyway, have awesome days, everybody. And thanks for stopping by. I'm going to go now.